In the heart of Stokes County lies the ancient range known as the Saartown Mountains, named after the Saar tribe, Native Americans who first inhabited this part of North Carolina. As time passed, these rolling hills became the home of a group of independent and spirited settlers. Like the Native Americans who preceded them, their lives depended on these lands and the resources they provided. For any farming community, rivers and streams are the lifeblood, providing water for livestock, crops, and families themselves. And for centuries, man harnessed the natural power of water to help do his work and transport his goods. Water and its power are literally woven into the fabric of man's history and culture like no other resource. The countryside around Hanging Rock Mountain is blessed with abundant water, from the Dan River to its many tributaries, including Snow Creek, which winds through the foothills just north of Danbury. And it's upon the banks of this stream that lies a unique and valuable site, which holds great potential for the preservation and celebration of a vital part of Stokes County's rich history and culture. It is a site which is calling for our attention and our help. In the early years of the 20th century, much of the work life in Stokes County was focused on farming. Families depended on their land to raise livestock, grow vegetables, and nurture their crops of grain and corn. And to put bread on the table, farmers relied on local mills to turn their harvest into meal and flour. In that era, mills served as a vital community resource, not only for foodstuffs and commerce, but also as a gathering spot for many whose next closest neighbor might be miles away. 1 century ago, here on Snow Creek, Callis Sheppard began construction of this mill that bears his name, a mill that would come to reflect practicality of use and the marriage of old and new milling technologies. At his new 3-story mill, Sheppard not only installed the tried and true stones of the past, he also decided to adopt new technology of the time, creating water-powered turbines to drive rollers, vastly increasing his efficiency and output. Wooden paddles dangling from the rafters of Sheppard's Mill and still sporting the hand-painted labels that Callis created are symbols of his design genius. Machinery and controls for the entire mill were laid out so that the operation could be handled by a single man. He also added a sawmill to his operation, enabling him to manufacture lumber for furniture, building materials, and even coffins. These iron and steel tools, which now rest silently on the benches of Sheppard's Mill, were no doubt worked by the hands of amazing craftsmen. Over the decades that passed, most mills disappeared. Some were victims of fire, others were simply abandoned as electricity and other modern technology took the place of these quaint reminders of bygone years. But little would Callis know that the pulleys, gears, bins, and machines he helped unload from horse-drawn wagons to outfit his mill in 1904 would survive intact, in pristine working condition no less. This incredible structure of wood, iron, and leather has survived with no more wear than a light covering of dust for 100 years. Sheppard's Mill is a literal time capsule and an outstanding monument to history. 2 world wars, the emergence of the automobile, radio, human flight, even the admission of the last 5 states to make our flag boast 50 stars, all took place after these machines were first brought to life by Callis Sheppard. And to walk through the mill today is as close as you may ever come to stepping back into time and into the lives of our long-past North Carolina ancestors. Today, our challenge and opportunity is to retain and preserve this amazing and little-known piece of living history here in Stokes County so that many more can experience and enjoy it for years to come. The mill and its site on Snow Creek are unique treasures for this region and for the entire state of North Carolina. Presently, the mill is privately owned. However, a window of opportunity has opened for the mill to commence a new public life. The Stokes County Historical Society is taking on the challenge of raising funds to purchase the mill, which offers tremendous potential as the historical focal point of a public park and recreational facility of which the entire region can be proud.
It would be a travesty if Sheppard's Mill was lost to the county of Stokes. The site consists of about 4.5 acres, the mill pond and the mill building itself. We have in mind to preserve it and to turn it into a recreational and historical area for not just Stokes County, but the surrounding region, as a matter of fact, the state of North Carolina.
One concern of the Historical Society is the possibility that Sheppard's Mill could meet the fate of other mills across the country. Over the years, a number of them have been sold, dismantled, and moved hundreds or even thousands of miles away.
If these historic sites are not preserved, it means that future generations lose the opportunity of not just reading about their local history, but actually visiting an historical site.
The Stokes County Historical Society envisions Sheppard's Mill as the centerpiece of a park on the mill property for picnicking, arts and crafts events, and even the sale of grist mill products, specialty flours, and mill that could give visitors a literal taste of what would have been the product of Sheppard's Mill a century ago. In addition to the educational benefits to school groups and others, historical sites are a proven magnet for tourism. The attractiveness of Sheppard's Mill and its surrounding property could be a powerful tool for Stokes County's economic development.
Stokes County has been involved in the development of its tourism potential for several years, and this is a major project that the county commissioners and the county citizens are currently involved in. Sheppard's Mill would be a significant drawing card for tourists. It's a little off the beaten path. It is somewhat isolated, but that, to my way of thinking, simply adds to its attraction. It's not in the middle of town, it's out in the country. You hear the waterfall, the water rushing over the dam, the birds chirping. You don't hear city noises, you hear country noises. So this makes it easy, I think, for people to project back through history.
A man who actually lived some of the history of Sheppard's Mill is Charles Parnell, one of the current owners. He and his partner, Frank Blunt, spent the last few decades tweaking and tuning the labyrinth of gears and pulleys to make sure this mill survives the ages. A retired engineer, Charles loves to explain how it all works and how important such mills were to everybody that depended on them.
You can power it from both ends. You can switch from one turbine to another simply by changing it all on this floor. You don't have to go upstairs at all. Everything finishes up on this floor. The packing machines are over there too. They're everything on this floor, and you simply pull the right cord and the right string, if you put it that way, and you have it made. I don't know who designed it or who did it, but they certainly made a fine job of it. It's very unique.
The thousands of hours Charles spent here at the mill speak loudly of the love he has for this treasure and the importance of preserving Sheppard's Mill as a public historic site.
It's a view into the past. That's your heritage. That's what your people did. You realize how hard they had to work to give a future to you. You learn from the past. You learn from history. That's the way people lived. You have to admire them for it. Incredible how they made a living, how they lived. They didn't make a living, they just lived. Hard life.
The uniqueness of Sheppard's Mill and Charles's connection to it are a big source of pride for him.
We had an English miller who had been brought over by the Rockefellers for their mill to redo the mill up on the Hudson River. And he came and he looked at it and he said, "It's the finest example of a late Victorian mill I've ever seen," which pleased me no end.
It's not hard to imagine a visit to Sheppard's Mill in the crisp air of a mid-autumn morning. A glance up to the old walls of the mill and you see nature's annual show of color, casting a dance of 100 shadows. Another glance across Snow Creek takes you for a moment to a world of solitude and peacefulness. And your tour of the old mill itself transports you to another time when local craftsmen, natural materials, and North Carolina know-how came together in a unique marriage of form, function, and beauty. You see old worn leather wrapped tightly around cold steel. Remnants of early industry hang on the old walls. Grinding stones bearing the names of proud men and the companies they worked for. And sunlight's shadows playing across machines that converted nature's bounty into life and comfort for us.
Well, this is part of a heritage, that part of a view into the past. I mean, in a few years down the road, you'll be looking at today and the same. It should be preserved because you don't make any more. It's gone. Once it's gone, the mill's gone, it's gone. You can't make another one.
Sheppard's Mill is a living piece of our history for Stokes County, our state, and even our nation. Sheppard's Mill deserves a place in our future as well. But only with the generous help of others can we keep this regional landmark preserved, alive, and in Stokes County for the generations to come.